And breaking right now, Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. That meeting wrapping up about 20 minutes ago. Xi saying the world needs a stable relationship between the two countries. The high-level talks coming as a top diplomat tells Blinken the U.S., quote, erroneous perception of China is leading towards the wrong policies. All of this happening while President Biden is now giving China's leaders a free pass for the spy craft that was discovered hovering across the U.S. earlier this year. Watch this.
I think one of the things that balloon caused was not so much that it got shot down, but I don't think the leadership knew where it was and knew what was in it and knew what was going on. I think it was more embarrassing than it was intentional. And so I'm hoping that over the next several months, I'll be meeting with Xi again and talking about legitimate differences we have, but also how there's areas we can get along.
Joining me now is Tennessee Congressman, member of the House Appropriations, Science, Space, and Technology Committees, Chuck Fleischmann. Congressman, good morning to you. And we are getting these headlines coming in from this meeting between Antony Blinken and Xi Jinping. And there's a lot of kind of generic statements coming out of the headlines that are just crossing. But what we aren't seeing, anything about human rights abuses, anything about IP theft, anything about jail dissidents. Think about Jimmy Lai, for example, Taiwan, AI. None of that in any of the news crossing right now. Your thoughts?
Well, China has clearly for quite some time been on a path to try to gain world dominance in all the areas that you alluded to. Unfortunately, President Biden, with a combination of nonchalance and naivete, you heard his comments about the balloon and his just really detached approach to this, along with the entire administration, is rather sad. The United States is the only remaining superpower in the world that can stand up to China. It needs to stand up to China so that we can preserve freedoms, not only in this country, but across the globe. But President Biden, sadly, again, has misread the China situation, as he has just about every other situation domestically and internationally.
Remember, this trip was rescheduled. Blinken was supposed to go earlier this year, and then the balloon showed up in U.S. airspace across the entire country before it was shot down over the east coast of the U.S. It was over military installations, for example. But Blinken actually said in the conference back in Germany, and this was in March, he said that they had intelligence, the U.S. did, that China was considering sending weapons to Russia to assist its war in Ukraine. And there's a lot of discussion this morning that the only reason that Xi Jinping met with Antony Blinken today is because they're trying to woo the Europeans and their Asian partners because they don't want technology sanctions leveled against them, because that's what we're threatening.
Well, America's got to protect American technology, American ingenuity, and our free enterprise system. China is a very dangerous and strong competitor. President Trump realized this. When he praised their leadership, he wasn't praising their ideology, like he was praising them for their competitiveness. America has the ability to stand toe-to-toe to China and beat them, but we've got to make sure that we're able to compete. That requires great leadership at the presidential level, requires leadership in Congress, requires leadership in the American free enterprise system. But we can and will do it if we're given the opportunity. We've got to unleash the great American economy, American ingenuity, American technology, and we need a strong, strong foreign policy. We need a strong leader in the White House. We just don't have one right now.
All right. Well, we're continuing to get headlines out of this meeting from the two over in Beijing. We're going to get to that a little bit later on the show. But I do want to move on to something else here. Republicans on the House Appropriations Committee passing an amendment which would ban foreign adversaries like China, but also Iran, North Korea, from purchasing farmland here in the United States. All the Democrats on the committee opposed the measure. Congressman, tell us more about this.
Well, of course, I voted for the amendment. I am the subcommittee chairman on energy and water. I chair that subcommittee, but I sit on the full appropriations committee. That's what I do. And I was just astounded to see our Democratic colleagues on the committee, in full committee, vote against that in block, in unison. This is so wrong. China is buying up key, vital American farmland all across the United States. And once again, just like their leader, Joe Biden, the Democrats are nonchalant, they're naive, they just don't see this as a threat. It's a potential threat. And we have to remember, farmland many times is located near key defense installations all across the United States. We've got to monitor this. It was a good amendment. I voted for it. They did not. So we've got to really have a recalibration, I think, of American foreign policy and domestic policy. The Democrats are just not there yet.
Congressman Chuck Fleischmann. Congressman, thank you for being here this morning. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.